forward to presenting some great content with you all. Just a heads up, this workshop or this presentation will be recorded, so you should have received a message pop up on your screen notifying you of that. So just go ahead and accept, and we'll get started shortly. So for all of you that are with us already, you can go ahead and introduce yourselves in the chat by writing your full name and your school of attendance, just so we can know what school you're joining us from. So again, for those who are joining right now, go ahead and introduce yourselves in the chat box by giving us your name and your school of attendance, and we'll be getting started shortly. So again, if you can all just go ahead and put your school of attendance, your full name, and then we're gonna wait for everyone to join. And then thank you for those who are already adding their name and their school of attendance. Okay. And then just a heads up as well, we will have time for questions at the end of the presentation. But if throughout the presentation you do have questions that you don't want to forget, you can feel free to use the chat box, put in your question there, and then we'll go ahead and address it throughout the presentation or at the end of the presentation. So again, for everyone joining us now, welcome, and we're very happy to have you all this afternoon. Just go ahead and introduce yourselves in the chat box by putting your full name and your school of attendance, and we're going to get started. So if you can please move to the next slide, Emily. Thank you. So again, welcome everyone. Today we're going to have an ETS info session. So ETS, Educational Talent Search. It's a college prep program at each of your school sites from wherever you are joining us. So today we're going to be having a very interactive presentation where you will have the opportunity to hear from some of us who were actually ETS students when we were in high school. So we will be sharing a lot of great resources, our stories, and how ETS can better assist you. And if you're not part of ETS, we hope that by the end of this presentation, you can decide to be part of the program. So again, today joining me will be Emily and Michelle, and then myself, Jocelyn. I'm one of the program specialists for the Compton Long Beach schools. And then moving forward, we will have a time to introduce each other. So I'll just wait for those next slides. So a little bit of our agenda today. Again, it's going to be very informative, so I hope everyone's ready to get all this information. And you will hear a lot about our experiences, Emily, Michelle, and I, how we were part of ETS in high school. So you will hear our stories, and we will be able to provide you with that information as to how you can join ETS if it's something you are interested in. So part of our agenda today, first, we're going to talk about us. So you'll get a brief synopsis of who we are, where we came from, and our experience, and where we are with ETS now. Then we're going to talk a little bit about academic advising, which is one of the great resources and services that ETS does provide. So you're going to learn how ETS can help you stay on track and pursue post-secondary education. And then we will talk about briefly about financial aid and how you can learn more about how to obtain free money to attend college and how ETS can pretty much help you getting through all of that. And then lastly, you will hear a lot more about our services and a lot more about our experiences when it comes to college literacy, college application assistance, and ETS field trips. And towards the end of the presentation, again, we will have some of our staff kind of explaining how you can go about joining our program. So please, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, like I said, feel free to let us know in the chat box or unmute yourselves towards the end of the presentation. So like I said, my name is Jocelyn Garcia. I'm one of the program specialists for the Compton Long Beach schools, which include Jordan High School, Cabrillo High School virtually, and then we also have all of the Compton schools, Centennial, Dominguez, and Compton. So I've been with ETS. This is my third year with ETS and my fourth school year with ETS. I started as a college advisor for Compton High School. And prior to that, prior to even working with ETS, I was actually part of ETS at Dominguez High School. So I am Compton raised, and I continue to work with my community, as I mentioned, by working at the schools that I'm assigned to today. I'm very, very passionate about advocating for students who want to pursue higher education. Being a first generation student myself, I really understand the challenges that arise from wanting to go to college, and sometimes the limited support that many of us may receive from our families. So I do understand how important it is to have those mentors, those advisors to kind of walk you through the whole college experience. So while I was at Dominguez, I had the privilege, as I said, to be part of ETS my junior and my senior year. So actually, little disclosure, I did struggle a lot academically my freshman and my sophomore year. I actually was behind on credits a lot my freshman year. I ended up failing a few classes. So I was really behind by the time I even joined ETS. So after failing multiple classes and being behind on credits, I really never imagined that I was even going to be able to graduate high school, or even less go to college. But thanks to one of my friends at the time that she told me about ETS, she kind of recruited me into the program. I was able to get back on track with the help of ETS and my ETS advisor at the time. So I'm very thankful for that. And through academic advising, I was able to receive guidance and do credit recovery to kind of get back on track. And eventually I did end up applying to college. I ended up learning more about college exploration and my different college opportunities or college options available to me. And that's how I started my whole career in actually pursuing higher education. So I did graduate from Cal State Long Beach in 2019 with my bachelor's in criminology and criminal justice. And shortly after, I decided to go back to school and pursue my master's. So I'm actually back at Cal State Long Beach, currently doing my master's of social work. And I have a concentration in child and family well-being. So I'm very excited about that as well. And throughout the presentation, we're going to be talking about how ETS kind of brought us upon where we are today. So again, with the help of ETS and a lot of people in my life at the time, I was able to get where I am today. So I'll go ahead and leave it to the next slide.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Cruz Alatorre, and I am the college advisor mentor at Compton High School. This is my third year as an advisor. And similar to Jocelyn, I was an ETS participant junior and senior year at Jordan High School. So I remember, the recruitment presentation in my English class, and I was kind of skeptical about joining, right? I was like, do I really want to go to college? I hear at home my parents telling me you need to go to college, and like family members telling me that I need to go to college, but I didn't know how. They couldn't tell me how or anything like that. But after hearing, the advisor then talk about the benefits of the program and then encouragement from my friends as well, I joined and I took advantage of most of the services that ETS has to offer those last 2 years of high school. And I recently graduated from Cal State Long Beach with a bachelor's degree in family life education and with a minor in human development and gerontology.
So hi, everyone, and thank you for joining. My name is Michelle Bautista, and I'm the college advisor mentor over at Huntington Park High School. This is my second year working with ETS, and I'm an undergrad student over at Cal State Long Beach. I'm an English Lit major with a minor in Women's Studies, and I used to go to Bell Senior High. Even before working with ETS, I was a student of ETS. I was on their caseload. And, just speaking from my experience, I would never advocate, I would never support a program that I didn't feel really helped and had the best interests of students at heart. And I could really sincerely say that I went to college because of ETS. I am a first generation student. I am the first in my family to go to high school, to speak English, to even graduate high school. So I had no idea what the college process was. I didn't know how to get a college. I didn't know how, pay for college. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know like the transition, and ETS really, really helped me. They really, really supported me. They helped me get to the college I needed to be. And I still even remember my advisor's name because she was so great with me. She was great with all her students. And I'm really, really grateful for ETS being able to help me get where I'm at today.
Okay, so I am going to go ahead and talk about the number one service that students receive, which is academic advising. So what is academic advising? So this is a one-on-one service where the student meets with their ETS advisor, and this happens twice a year. First, it happens at the beginning of the fall semester and then at the beginning of the spring semester, or whenever you join the program, then your ETS advisor will go over academic advising with you whenever you do join. So during this meeting, the advisor goes over the A through G requirements and the courses that the student has taken to fulfill the requirements using the chart that you see here. They also go over the student transcript, their GPA, college options, and then any additional services. So for example, if the advisor is doing academic advising with the senior, then they can talk about, you know, what their plans after high school are. They can share any like tutoring resources based on like their current grades or like their current class struggles, or they can, you know, talk to them about meeting with their counselor about making up a course that they need in order to maintain their A through G eligibility, and then all the workshops that seniors can take advantage of. And then for like underclassmen, then this is the time when the ETS advisor can go over extracurricular involvement, again, tutoring resources, and the workshops that these students will have the opportunity to participate in. And during this time, it's also a great opportunity for students to ask questions about like their own progress. Like I mentioned, the advisor is going to have their transcript and the A through G chart already completed. So the student can easily see what they are missing, if they are missing anything, or what they need to like make up. And then they also can talk about their plans after high school. Sometimes students, you know, think that changing their major their major, but while they're in high school, like let's say a student junior year said they wanted to go into like engineering, and then come senior year, like they want to go into criminology. Sometimes students feel guilty for that change, but that's when the advisor tells them that it's totally fine to do that, and that even as a college student, you know, they might end up changing their minds. So you kind of have those conversations either during academic advising or as a follow-up to that. And again, the student can ask about like extracurricular involvement, and the advisor can assist with looking for opportunities outside of school, or maybe sometimes even like at the high school campus, because sometimes students don't really know what's being offered at their high school. So the advisor can definitely help with that. And with my experience, I'm going to talk about both, like at the same time, the environment and the presentation of academic advising and just other services in general. So personally, what I liked about academic advising was that it was a one-on-one service. I felt really comfortable talking to my advisor and asking her questions about what she was explaining. And I also liked how she knew what she was talking about. She explained everything thoroughly, you know, the A through G requirements, what they were, what I needed. And I liked having that A through G chart because it was easier for me to see, you know, my progress compared to the transcript, because that transcript had every single class I had taken, and it was like really confusing for me to look at all of that. And the A through G chart made it nice and simple for me to again look over my progress. What I also liked about the environment that my advisor created was that she was very welcoming. Not only that, but also the college center in general was very welcoming. And I knew that if I had a question from my advisor, whether she had called me out or it was just like a random question, like during the week or whatever, she would be more than willing to answer my question or help me with the things that I had to do in order to meet my goal. So let's see. One thing that I do remember during academic advising was when I was a senior, I noticed that I only had one class under the language requirement, but you know, for the APG requirements, you need 2 years of a language other than English. So I sat through academic advising and I heard my advisor tell me that I was meeting the A3G requirements, but I went home, I like thought about the conversation and I was like, how am I meeting the requirement if I only have taken one Spanish course? You know, so I later then went to my advisor and she explained to me something called validation and why I was, you know, meeting the requirements, although I was only taking like one class. So I really liked how, you know, she explained it to me. And she was also like, if you like still have doubts about that, you know, you can ask your counselor to get, you know, a second opinion. But I really liked that. I always, you know, felt comfortable going to her because I was there 2 years with ETS. I was lucky enough to have the same advisor both years. So by the time I was a senior, if I had like questions about like financial aid and like my situation like at home, you know, I felt really comfortable talking to her and for her to explain to me, you know, like what I needed to do for that stuff. So yeah, in general, it just was very like welcoming, very comfortable. And that was my experience with academic advising.
All right, so today and right now I'm going to talk about financial aid. I know that money is a big factor, is a big worry for a lot of my students and their family when it comes to going to college, when it comes to even thinking about college. So I'm going to talk about how ETS helped me take that problem, kind of give me reassurance that I could go to college, that, you know, I would be able to pay for college. And I just want to talk about how ETS helps you with financial aid. So there's 4 different types of financial aid. There's grants, loan, scholarships, and work study. And I was just missing one. So I kind of just want to talk about how ETS helps with that. So the 4 different forms of financial aid, you fill out an application called the federal aid, you know, for students aid, and just FAFSA abbreviation. And what ETS does is that it gives you one-on-one appointments. That way you can work. It helps you gather documents beforehand. And once you receive your award letters, it will break down your award letter and it will help you accept your awards. So here's a checklist of what I give my students. I have a 3-step process of how I help my students. I know each advisor does it their own way, but for me, I like to, like already my juniors, even though they won't be applying for another year, I'm already messaging them like, hey, do you know what documents you will need to begin your application? Do you know what documents you will need? And I'm just bugging them because I know these documents are a little, sometimes, you know, they're security sensitive, they're time sensitive. So I want to make sure your parents, your family have enough time to gather all these documents and make sure they're able to give it to you. So right here, I have the FAFSA document checklist for the 21-22 school year.
Yeah, but I stress myself out about it.
And I want you to know you need your social security number or your permanent resident number. You will need your parents' social security numbers. If they have one, you will need your parents' birth dates and the date of their marriage, divorce, separation, or if you know if they're widowed. And you will need your 2019 federal tax income, you know, your IRS 1040 or whatever your taxes your parents do. And you want to make sure you have all pages if you have any untaxed income. So these are all documents you will need. And I know for my students, you know, if I went to my mom and I just asked her, Mom, I need to see your taxes, she'll be like, why? For what? You know, I know it's time sensitive. So you want to speak to your parents, let them know like, this is what I need. And then the second process to my step is working with you one-on-one. I know everyone's financial situation, everyone's tax situation, everyone's parents, you know, residency citizenship situation is different. Some of my students' parents work under the table, they earn cash, they didn't do taxes. I know everyone's situation is different. So I like to give my students privacy and have a one-on-one appointment with them where they can fully disclose that to me and I can tell them. And then I walk you through the application. I like to have my students work with me step by step in the application. That way we avoid errors. I did commit an error when I was first applying to financial aid, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And I just like to make sure they're comfortable in each answer and they're not guessing. Even if I don't know the answer, and I'm sure other advisors can attest to this, they will ask our supervisors, we'll ask our program specialists, we'll ask our program coordinators, we'll make sure we know everything from the application before we suggest, oh, just put this. Like, trust me, we know the application. And we know how to, we know how to let you use the IRS retrieval tool and then the third step is breaking down your award letter. This is when you submit your application. Colleges review it, the colleges which you applied, and like, okay, this is what we can offer you. A lot of my students, what happens is that they see this number, they're like, wow, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, okay, let's break it down. Let's see how much Long Beach tuition is going to be. Okay, this is the estimated you'll be spending on bus. This is the estimated you'll be spending with living costs. And then we just do the math, we work on it together. And I'm like, okay, after all the aid, this is how much you'll be spending out of pocket. This is how much you'll be, receiving from reimbursement. And we help you accept your awards and review them, make sure that's something you're comfortable with, your parents are comfortable with. There are instances where our students are chosen for verification. That just means the school is asking for an extra step to make sure all the information you did put on your FAFSA application is correct, it's honest, it's true. And we work with that. We know how to help you. A lot of my students are like, oh my gosh, they sent me this. Does this mean I'm not going to get any aid? And I'm like, don't worry. Like, once you see us worried, maybe you should worry. But until then, do not worry. We got it. We'll help you. And I really know that for a lot of my students, their parents want to help them. Their parents want to get them to college and they may not know how. So they're just kind of left standing like, what do I do for my child? And that's where we come in. We really, really help you. And I can attest to that because I've been through this process. I filled out this application both as a student and as an advisor. And I can tell you this application is hard. It's difficult, but we go through a lot of training to fill out this process. So here on the next slide, I'm kind of just going to discuss my experience as a high school student when I was in ETS. My senior year, I did fill out the FAFSA for the first time. So I had no idea how I was even going to pay for college. It was not something my mom could be like, here's so much money to spend on college. That just wasn't possible for us, so it's very difficult. So I went to talk to my advisor and I was like, what do I need to get started? Like, what do I need to do this? Because I felt like I was on my own. My mom, even though she wanted to help me, she just couldn't. She didn't understand how to fill out the FAFSA application. She didn't know if I would be getting the money and then paying the school or if they would send the money to school. We just didn't know. So, I sat down with my advisor and she's like, you need these documents. Even my junior year, she told me your mom needs to have this year's taxes in order for you to fill out the financial aid award. If you don't do taxes, that's a different story. You can still help with that. But we did that. Once I had to fill out the application, they made me create an account and I felt like a little kid, like, okay, click here, write your name here. But that was the reassurance I needed from my advisor. And she was able to give it to me because I was scared. What if I put yes instead of no and it just messes up my application? What if I do this instead of this and it just messes up my application? Even when I had my mom's taxes in my hands, I don't know how to read taxes. Like, I didn't know what these numbers meant. I didn't know what line this was. So my advisor went over the documents with me and she's like, okay, this means this, and you'll put this here, here, and here. Once you're applying, if your parents do have a social, you can use an IRS retrieval tool, which makes it a little bit easier. If your parents don't, we could do it like manually. It's not a problem. So they were able to help me with that. I think there's a question like, do your parents receive SNAP benefits? And I was like, oh my God, what does that? I don't even know. And they explain like everything to you. And I like to like simplify it to my students. Sometimes the questions can be a little tricky, a little lengthy. And my advisor was able to do that for me. I remember when I was applying, I put my mom's social wrong. So they flagged me and they sent me an email and it had these big words. And I went to my advisor right away and I was like, what do I do? Does this mean they're not giving me money? Does this mean I can't fix it? Like I messed up. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And she helped me. If you do make an error, there are follow-ups you can do to correct it. So she helped me. My advisor even advised me to apply to colleges before I did my financial aid application. That way I can add the colleges I applied to. And that was a very big thing for me. That was something like, okay, I know the schools I'm going to, now I'm going to put them here. My advisor also, there is a part in the application where your parents have to sign, either e-sign or you have to mail it in. And my parents couldn't e-sign for X reasons. So I had to mail in my mom's signature. And I was like, well, I don't know anything about this. Like, where do I print it? They helped me print it. They helped me, okay, you sign here. This is what this means. This is where you mail it. They helped me like even write the address on the envelope because I was so scared of messing up. And in the third step, every day I would check my portals, like, is my financial aid available? Is my financial aid available? Is my financial aid available? Because the stress of how to pay for college was so real to me. It was so big to me that I was scared if I don't have the money by now, I'm not going to go to college. But, my advisor was there to walk me through it and let me know that that wasn't the situation. She was there to review every school I got accepted to. She was there to sit down with me and help me review my awards, help me break down, okay, tuition to this school is this much and books are this much for estimated cost. This is how much you'll be paying out of pocket for this school, and you'll actually get reimbursement for this school. What I really liked about my advisor, and now I do it with my students as well, is I put the cost right next to each other. When my students are debating, they're like, okay, well, I want to go to UCLA, but I don't know how much I have to pay, and this school is offering me more money. So I sit them down and I put the numbers right next to each other, and one final number, I'm like, okay, this is how much you'll be paying, this is how much you'll be paying for this school. That way they can compare it. I'm like, show this to your parents, show this to you. For my students who get loans, I'm like, talk to your parents about it. I advise them certain loans are better than other loans. If you're like eligible for work study, that means you can get a job on campus. These are things that I didn't know. It's like, work study, like, what is that? Does that mean I have to get a job to get this money? They were able to explain it to me. They were able to help me. And even after I accepted my awards and I accepted my offer at Cal State Long Beach, I was like, okay, so do they mail me the money and I turn it into school, or how does that go? And they helped explain it to me and how to sign up for reimbursement and that the school receives the money. And even throughout that whole year, and since ninth grade, because I was in ETS since ninth grade, there was monthly scholarship list. And I advocate this for my students so much. I bug them so much with the scholarship list, because this is free money that someone is willing to give you if you write an essay, if you fill out a survey, if you write like a poem, if you do a video, that's money that you're someone's willing to give to you. So my advisor every month should be like, here's a scholarship month for September, here's a scholarship month for October. And if I wanted to apply to a scholarship, I would go and she would walk me through the process. I'm like, am I eligible for this one? Am I eligible for this one? So money was a big concern, for me and my family when going to college. My mom was worried that she wasn't going to be able to have like enough money for me to go to college. And ETS really, really helped me realize that I can go to college. There is money out there for me to go to college. And that's something I do with my students. I know sometimes my students like, well, I want to go here, but I don't think I have the money for it. And I'm like, well, let's just fill out the application. Let's see what they say. Even when filling out the application, they're like, well, I don't have money, like $70 to pay for an application. I'm like, I know how to get you the fee waivers. I know how to, let me know if you're eligible for it. Let us help you. So I know money is a big concern, not only for my students, but for their family members who maybe want to help so desperately, but they just can't, they just don't understand. ETS is here to help you. We do have workshops for our seniors, for our juniors who are becoming seniors. And once you reach that grade level, that your parents can join in on the background and they can hear us talk about financial aid. They could hear us explain to you. And I know I offer one-on-one meetings. I know a lot of other advisors, if not all, offer one-on-one meetings. So I really, really sincerely say ETS does help you take that load off your shoulder when it comes to paying for college. So I kind of spoke about my experience already, but they helped me understand my parents' taxes. My mom got paid cash during the time that I was applying. So I thought that was a big problem. Once she said that to me, I was like, oh my God, I'm not getting no money. I'm not going to college. Like, I was really, really scared. And apart from that, just applying to college and doing school and trying to get my grades up, it was a lot, and it's a lot on our students. And I try to help them understand their parents' taxes, help me correct my errors and follow-ups. I did make a mistake, and I thought that was the end of the world. My sister, she was also in ETS. She made a great mistake on her FAFSA application because she wanted to do it by herself, and ETS was like, why would you do that? And they helped her correct it. Like, we know how to correct it. A lot of my students, once they receive that email, they're like, is this it? Did I mess up? Am I never going to be able to fix it? I'm like, no, you can. Let us help you. I strongly advise you to let your advisor review your application before you submit. That's something I learned the hard way, and I will tell my students the hard way. And then they helped me accept my aid and accept my awards. Once I was offered for certain colleges, I had never seen a number so big. I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. Like, I'm going here, and they're like, well, wait, you don't want to accept everything they're offering you. If grants are enough to cover it, why would you accept loans? If you need loans, let's see the type of loans they're offering you. Like, what's the payment plan on those? And, they help you understand, okay, why did I qualify for this grant, but not this grant, And then they helped me apply to scholarships. I can sincerely say my advisor, she sat with me. I was like, okay, well, this one looks good. And she'd be like, okay, well, you don't qualify for this one, but this one's just as good. So my experience is that I was really, really worried about money. And ETS had definitely helped take that load off my shoulders. They helped me take that stress off, not only to me, but to my family, to my mom. She was relieved when I was like, okay, well, there's free money out there, Mom. I was like, I think I could do this. And she worked closely to me, and I could say my mom wanted to help me. She did understand the application. She didn't know what taxes meant either. That's why we have someone do it for us. So, ETS sat there and helped us. And I really do that. I really encourage, applying to my students. I'm like, they're like, well, I don't know if I want to go to college. I'm like, we still should submit a FAFSA, enroll in a CC. So I do this for my students, and I know money is a huge concern. Just like, okay, with tuition, there's bugs, and there is free money out there, and ETS knows how to apply if you're eligible for it, how to, check if you're eligible for it. So I highly, highly suggest asking your ETS advisor, like, when is the next workshop for FAFSA? When can I start talking to you about FAFSA? It's never too early, and within the time frame, it shouldn't be ever too late. So I highly suggest speaking to ETS, because I can sincerely say we know what we're doing, and we really have your best interest at heart.
Okay, we're gonna move forward. And I did want to say, I know a lot of people joined in later on. So everyone that has been speaking so far, we are ETS staff, and we're currently sharing our experiences because we were all ETS alumni. So it's, if you did join us late, that's kind of like where we are now. I just wanted to give like a brief summary of what we talked about so far. But we're gonna briefly move forward onto ETS services. So again, like Emily, like Michelle said, there's a lot of resources that ETS does provide. And I did want to emphasize what Michelle said earlier about, I know you're listening to us right now and you're probably like, oh yeah, well, they're saying all this stuff because they work for ETS. But we're here also as people who receive those ETS services, as we were once high school students that actually sat down with an advisor, that actually went in and were seeking out these services because we had no idea how to apply to college. So a lot of what we're advocating for, we've been experienced already in receiving that. So I did want to make that clear that, I advocate for ETS, not only as someone who works for the program, but also as someone who was serviced by the program. And like Michelle said, I can honestly say I ended up in college because of ETS, because of the help of my advisors, because of the help of the overall program and the work that they put in to actually service the students in our communities, especially us low-income students, probably from first-generation backgrounds that sometimes have a lot of limited resources or limited support. So it's very important that you all here that are joining us today, you take advantage of the services that ETS does provide, or any other service that probably another program that has interest to you is providing. So I just wanted to jump into college and college applications, which is one of the biggest services that ETS does provide. So again, ETS does help you throughout 9th and 12th grade. So we do have 9th graders on the call. It's a very, very critical, and it's very important that you take initiative and actually join a support program now versus later. I know Emily and I kind of took advantage of ETS when we were juniors and seniors. Needless to say, we still had that experience. We still were service, but I think I would benefit it a lot more if I was in ETS in 9th grade. I probably wouldn't have gotten as behind in my academics. So I did want to emphasize that if you do join us in 9th grader, you're going to be in ETS all the way till senior year, and you're going to be taking more advantage of everything that we do have to offer. So first, I'll talk a little bit about college exploration. College exploration is a vital part of preparing for college. So through ETS, you will have the opportunity to participate in a wide variety of workshops that will expose you to your college options, your major exploration, and even out-of-state opportunities. So don't think we're just helping you to go to school locally. So if you're interested in going to a private school or an out-of-state school, or even if you just want to go to community college, maybe you want to pick up a trade and you want to do a trade or vocational certificate, we can help you through all of that. So don't think it's just like college. If that's not part of your plan and you actually want to do a trade or vocational, we are also available to help you with those steps. So with college exploration, aside from providing all of these workshops that we do already provide, you will also have a lot of opportunity to speak individually with your college advisor to explore your individual options while meeting your specific needs. So like Michelle said, we kind of all come from different backgrounds, different interests. So maybe what interested Michelle in high school didn't quite interest me in high school. So again, if you want to receive those services that most specifically meet your needs, then you can always receive that individual service with your college advisor, which we're always more than happy to help you. I know it's been difficult now with meeting with you all on Zoom. However, we're still there. We're still in the background. We're still behind the screens. We're trying to reach out. We're trying to use all of these communication platforms to reach you all. But something that as a student that I was in high school, it's very important to also learn to advocate for ourselves. So ETS is here, but it's also very important that you all take initiative to seek out these resources and be self-efficient. A lot of times we may not know that you're struggling unless you come to us and tell us. And it's the same with your counselor, with your teachers. So it's just all about learning to advocate for yourselves, learning to speak up whenever you do need assistance. And that's when ETS comes in and kind of provides you with that welcoming environment that Emily was talking about earlier, about just having that advisor, that friendly advisor that's always willing to help you, that is always willing to give you the services that you so much need. And next up, we do have choosing a college. So ETS is great at giving you the necessary information, the necessary advice to help you decide on a college to attend. So I don't know if there's probably seniors on the call or maybe juniors. That college application season, it's already here, it's approaching. So a lot of you may still have like a lot of difficulties with like, I don't know what school I'm gonna go to or what schools I'm gonna apply to. But again, that's when ETS comes in and kind of walks you through that whole process and giving you that information that you need in order to make an informed decision as to where you want to go to college or even what schools you even want to apply to. So again, we're here to provide you those services. And one of our most common and famous services, I guess you can say, is application assistance. And that's like application assistance with financial aid, with community college, with college applications, with university applications, private schools, any application related to college. We're here to assist you with those services. So again, this is one of the most beneficial services that students find the most helpful when they're part of ETS, because they're able to receive individualized support and assistance to fill out their college applications. So again, going back to speaking about my experience with ETS as a student, I did take advantage of application assistance just because I had no idea where to apply to college. I had really no idea what college even was. It was just something that I heard from my classrooms, from my peers, but I didn't know how to go about in actually applying to college or even knowing if I was going to be eligible to be accepted. So what I did, again, I had to start to advocate for myself. So I would often like go and talk to my advisor at Dominguez High School. Since she did have like such welcoming environment, and she was really friendly, I had no problem just going to her office hours and just kind of talking to her about any doubts or concerns that I did have. And she was great at always reviewing my application. She was great at ensuring that everything was accurate. So applications, it's not something that you just sit down and you submit in an hour. It takes time, especially if you're applying to UCs, especially if you're applying to private schools. So you're always going to need that support in the background to make sure that you're not making mistakes, like Michelle said earlier. And again, ETS is there to walk you through that process and giving you that opportunity to know exactly what you're doing and to just give you that reassurance that what you're doing is accurate, that it's going to get you into college, that someone who actually knows what they're doing is helping you. So for me, that was the best reassurance. I was confident that ETS and the ETS staff knew what they were doing, which we do know what we're doing. We get a lot of staff trainings throughout the year. We're up to date with everything that's changing with college applications, with financial aid. So we have to be in the loop of everything in order to very efficiently provide you these services and give you the accurate information that you all need. And lastly, like I mentioned earlier, academic support and mentorship. All of the ETS staff, the ETS advisors, we are all here to cheer all of our students on. We want you all to succeed. I feel that a lot of times as a student coming from a first-gen family, my family didn't really realize how big of a deal maybe going to college was. And maybe, yeah, they congratulated you, but you always had like your ETS people like in the background really telling you like, this is a big deal that you got accepted into college, which is a big deal. So for me, I feel like that academic support and even that personal support really came through for me to really encourage me to pursue higher education and to like pretty much feel supported through everything that I was doing to get that reassurance of everything that was happening. So again, like I said, my advisor was very supportive. She was very friendly. And I could count on that great mentorship and that advice involving my career, involving any majors that I did want to explore, and just having that informed decisions to everything that had to be done. And then next slide, please. And then one of the other great resources that ETS provides are field trips. Again, ETS provides a wide variety of field trips. I know right now with distance learning, or actually not a lot of you are distance learning anymore, but still with the pandemic happening, we had to cancel a lot of our field trips. But this is something very essential to our program. We do provide various field trips throughout the school year that expose you all to different college options. And during these field trips, you're able to meet many students from different campuses as well. And for a lot of our students that have actually been part of our field trips, this is where they find their dream school. You know, a lot of them have never been on a college campus, and some of them, as soon as they stepped into a specific college campus, it was already a big deal for them. Like they could see themselves, they envisioned themselves being in that college campus. So field trips for me were like the most exciting. As a student, I was just excited to honestly get out of class, right? I think a lot of us is just like, oh, well, I'll go on a field trip. I don't have to be in class. I kind of saw it that way, if I'm honest, but I actually got a lot of information from attending these field trips. Some of the great things and great benefits of even attending ETS field trip that I always found very neat as a student is that they would always give us like cash money to buy our lunch, and they wouldn't take the school lunch. So for me, that was a big deal. Like, hey, I get to go on a field trip. They give me money. I go buy a meal from the restaurant on campus, and it's a pretty good day. Like I'm getting educated and I'm getting this free food. So ETS actually does that for all of our field trips. You know, we're not only taking you out, but we're also ensuring that you get like the best experience possible. And I'm sure one of those benefits of actually getting that stipend to go eat on campus is to kind of give you that feel for the environment while you're there, to kind of envision yourself like, hey, I'm here. I can see myself coming to Panda Express, after class and eating at the student union. So which it was a great experience where you were able to network with other students coming from other schools, and then even networking with the own advisors that were attending the field trip. So for me, field trips were always the most fun. I took advantage of a lot of these field trips, and as a screen you can see how we've gone to like Cal State Fullerton, we've gone to UCR, Cal State Long Beach, of course. We've gone to a lot of the schools that are local to us. And then in the next slide, I'll briefly talk about other opportunities. But this was just a great opportunity for exposure. For me, I had never stepped foot in a college campus. So just being there was pretty cool to get that exposure and to kind of learn about the opportunities that college had to offer. And again, with all of these programs or all of these resources and services that you are receiving from ETS, you are able to put all of this stuff in your college application. So this is not just something that we just do like, oh, you're part of ETS, you graduate and then it's done. No, but once you're a senior, if you were part of ETS, you're able to put that on your college application. And it makes you kind of stand out from the rest because it lets the college know that you were actually reaching out, you were receiving services, that you were part of a program. And for us, it's a program that we don't accept all and every student. We do have requirements. So this is a great opportunity that you, if you're not part of the program, you can join and eventually you're able to put this information that you were part of a college access program in high school. And usually this makes you look really good in your college applications because the colleges will know that you advocated for yourself, that you were receiving these services, and that you were part of a program like ETS. On the UC application, actually, for those, if you're seniors, you'll see that ETS comes up as one of the options to select as a program that you were part of. So again, there's a lot of benefits of just being part of a college access program like ETS, because it doesn't benefit you just at the moment, but it also benefits you when you're actually trying to apply to college and get admitted to whatever college that you do want to attend. Next slide, please. And then I'll talk a little bit about my experience. I know I brought a lot of stuff up throughout the last slide, but again, like I said, I was in ETS at Dominguez High School in Compton. So I said a lot that I had a welcoming advisor. I always attended those workshops. I would get summons to and invites to attend maybe a college exploration workshop or a financial aid workshop. I was sure to always attend these workshops because I felt that I received a lot of information when I went to the library and was part of these workshops. I remember one of the staff at the time, she would always talk to us about her experience also in pursuing higher education, and I would always like hearing her talk because every time I heard her talk, it was like I could envision myself, because she would always say, like, I come from a family where none of, like, my parents didn't go to college, my siblings didn't go to college. And at the time, I honestly thought maybe I was the only one in that situation. But always like hearing like her speak during these presentations, I was able to relate and I was able to connect to her experiences. And it was one of the reasons that I always got encouraged to continue to be part of ETS and to receive these services during the workshops. I had a lot of opportunity for networking, again, through those field trips that I would attend. In the next slide, I will talk a lot more about the NorCal trip, which we'll get to it in a second, which was a really good opportunity for networking. I received a lot of one-on-one mentorship, and what that basically means is that I simply got advice. I got advice of what I was trying to do with my future in terms of academics, in terms of like what college I want to go to, or what major, or maybe what career I want to pursue. So I just felt like I could always go to my advisor and let her know like what was happening. I never felt like she wasn't going to talk to me. She was very friendly. I was always very encouraged to go talk to her and receive her opinion on different things. Again, there was a lot of post-secondary planning and college exposure through the field trips. And these two pictures here are actually pictures from when I was in ETS. The top picture is actually when we went to go visit UC Santa Cruz at our NorCal expedition trip. And then the bottom one, it was also during that NorCal trip. I'm somewhere in that picture, but I didn't want to share this. We're not lying. We were part of ETS, and we're here now, you know, still advocating for you all and encouraging everyone to kind of pursue higher education and join this support program. And the next slide. And then briefly, like I said, there's a NorCal field trip that was one of my greatest experiences with ETS. The NorCal field trip really just assisted us in taking us out to Northern California and exposing us to all of the campuses out there. Campuses included like UC Berkeley, San Francisco State, San Jose State, UC Santa Barbara. We went to UC Davis, and there was a lot more I can't remember from the top of my head, but this was a 4-day trip, if I remember correctly, where we had the opportunity to go with other students from different campuses that ETS does serve. So again, in order to go to this field trip, we were supposed to apply. We're supposed to kind of do like brief, short answer questions and kind of say why we wanted to be part of the NorCal field trip. And I remember my friend encouraging me to apply for the NorCal field trip through ETS. And I never really thought I was going to get selected to attend this field trip, but I ended up attending. The picture on the far left, it's actually another picture, I'm in there somewhere, of us like at one of the campuses and kind of getting to know everyone. And it was a neat trip. Again, I guess as a student, I was just very excited as like everything they gave us. We stayed at a really nice hotel. It was a Hampton Inn. And I remember it's like we had free breakfast. You could eat whatever you want. And for me, it was just like very exciting at the time. It's like, wow, I've never really gone anywhere on my own, like with other students. So it was a really great experience aside from just the food. You know, obviously we got to enjoy the different campuses, get different campus tours, and even do activities throughout the program. So this was like a leadership academy. So we did have a lot of icebreakers that we had to partake in, but it was a great experience to kind of get you out of your bubble and explore those different opportunities that were available for you there. And the other pictures are are pictures from a few years ago of our students that were able to go before COVID. So again, it's just not all the time academic. I know a few years ago, our students were able to visit the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. So as you can see a picture there, we usually go to Pier 39 in San Francisco as well. So you kind of get those recess, you know, where you're able to just meet new friends, make new friends and hang out with them during your time there. And I know Michelle also was part of this really, really cool field trip. So I don't know if you kind of want to add on to your experience.
Yeah, something I tell my seniors all the time is that you want to choose a college best fit for you, just because you will be spending a lot of time at this college. You will be spending like the majority of your day there. And just a quick comment, I really, really wanted to apply to UC Santa Cruz. And I know I've told the story many times, but that was like the school I wanted to go to. I wanted to apply there. And I got to that field trip and we went to visit the campus and I was like, I can't live here. Like I cannot do the woods. I can't do the weather. Like I hated that campus. And I'm glad I didn't waste a fee waiver and application on that campus. And for me, my mom just couldn't take a day off work, drive up 8 hours, you know, pay for a hotel, pay for our meals. It just wasn't accessible to us. And you know, something we couldn't do. So I'm really, really grateful that ETS, you know, was able to do that for me right now. As Jocelyn was speaking, I was smiling because it was so cute. Like I remember, I felt really nostalgic. I had so much fun, you know. I got really, really sick during the field trip, but I still remember it as like the best time of my life. Like it was really cute. And I got to visit, you know, many campuses, and I got to say, okay, this is the campus I want to go to. Let me apply to. This is a campus I can envision myself at. Let me apply. So, you know, and your children are safe, like they'll be safe over there. So, you know, it's just something that I really, really enjoyed. And I know my students, you know, ETS students will enjoy. And it's something not only enjoyable, but beneficial to them because they do get presentations on the school. So you get to learn a little bit more on the school. And, you know, choosing a college is a big decision. And we do this so you have a better idea and understanding of where you'll end up going.
Thank you for sharing, Michelle. So now we're just going to briefly talk about the College Prep Academy, which actually Emily, she was able to take advantage of this program.
Yes, so like Jocelyn said, I was a participant of the College Prep Academy, and basically it's a 1-week program during the summer, and the target audience are like juniors that are going to be seniors in the fall. And during the week, students learn how to write for their college prompts. They learn about financial literacy, time management, goal setting, careers and majors, and college applications. So personally, my experience, I first want to talk about the selection process. So similar to the NorCal trip, for the CPA, I also had to provide short answer responses to questions. And my ETS advisor helped me with that. You know, she was like, don't write one or two sentences on why you want to attend or why you want to be a participant. Provide an entire paragraph. If you need more space than what they gave you, write on another sheet of paper. You know, and with this, it really helped me think about my experiences and helped me write about like myself. It was the first time that I was kind of exposed to that, which later on helped me write about my EOP questions for my CSU application. So that's something that I really liked about that. And during the week, under information received, I remember getting information on financial literacy. And that's how I remember like the difference between the two different types of loans. I remember the ETS advisor giving the presentation saying like, if you get an unsubsidized loan, you're unlucky. If you get a subsidized loan, you're lucky. You know, and that has stuck with me since all this time. And then I also remember receiving information on SAT and ACT prep. There was actually someone from like a tutoring company that came in to guide us step by step on like different questions that we were going to see on the SAT. So I really like that because just like Michelle touched up on, you know, we don't have, well, at least I didn't have those resources. You know, my parents didn't have those resources to send me to like a tutoring center for SAT prep or any of that stuff. So I really liked that portion of it too. And like Jocelyn also mentioned, like with the NorCal trip, there was also a lot of fun during CPA. And on Friday, we had the opportunity to go to Disneyland. So of course, it was educational, but it was also fun. Like during the day, there were a lot of like icebreakers, and you got to meet like the other participants. And it was just really fun, a really good experience. Like I hadn't been to Disneyland in so many years. Like I didn't remember that like just experience. So with ETS, it provided me with that. I made a lot of memories. So that's also something that I liked. And then just briefly mentioning like meeting other participants. You're not, you know, surrounded by everyone that's in the program at your school. You get to meet students from the other high schools. You get to make friendships, even if it's just for the summer or maybe like for a year. I know I've like kept in like touch with like one of the other students that was in CPA. It's really cool to hear about like their experience at the school that they chose to go to, you know, because I stayed local, but the other student didn't. So it was really nice, you know, to also have that experience. And then just in general, like during the week, there were a lot of icebreakers. So I can't remember if it was Jocelyn or Michelle that mentioned it, but it gets you out of your comfort zone. You get to meet, you know, and hear about the stories of the other students who have similar experiences as you, or who have like a similar mindset. Everyone there wants to go to college. They want to be there to learn about, you know, how do I write for my college prompts? They want to learn about like financial literacy. So everyone there is like, well, during my experience, they were all like really friendly, and it was just a learning experience that has stuck with me since then, which is why, you know, I became an advisor. And that is it for me.
And then before I forget, something we didn't mention, like I know we talked about all of these programs, like CPA and the NorCal field trip, all of these are completely free. They are paid by ETS, so you don't have to pay a cent. When we went to the NorCal trip, everything was paid for, room and board or your food. So again, like any parents that are probably concerned over cost of these programs, ETS is a federally funded program. So we actually, our participants receive that full assistance, even when it comes to covering costs. So that's something to really take advantage of if you do have the opportunity to attend one of these trips, because everything is paid for. Everything that we do, we're not going to ask that you pay up front for any amount of money. Again, we are grant funded, so that's where we're able to receive those funds to actually assist our students. So everything is completely free. And like all three of us, Emily, Michelle, and I, being part of like CPA and the NorCal field trip, we were able to put all of this information on our UC applications. So I remember actually putting the NorCal field trip as a leadership academy on my UC application. And I was able to talk about how I was part of this program, ETS, and how through ETS, I was able to participate in getting a leadership academy certificate, which at the end of every program that we do during the summer, you do end up getting a certificate. And that's kind of like your verification and your evidence that you attended or that you participated through one of these programs. So again, everything benefits you in every way possible, not just by providing you services, but actually helping you through the college application process. And again, the earlier you join, the better. We do have limited spots. So we always encourage students to not wait, to not hesitate, to just submit that application. That way you can start receiving those services from us as soon as possible. And then just, this is our contact information. If you would like more information or you just want to talk to us about a little bit more about our experiences, you can always like reach out to us. And our ETS handles are also there. We post a lot of great information, a lot of great resources. So please feel free to follow us. And we're going to talk briefly about, I know we went kind of over time, so I'm sorry about that, but we'll talk briefly about the college or the application, the ETS application, and how to actually join the program.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Okay, so we do have some requirements for joining ETS. You must be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident to join our program. As Jocelyn mentioned, we are grant-based and federally funded. You must be interested in pursuing post-secondary education, whether it's a 2-year, 4-year, or a certificate program. So if you have any interest in doing so, the advisors are willing to help you. There's no cost to join ETS. Everything is free. This is a school-based program, so advisors are placed either virtually or at the high school site where your student attends. So all services are provided during school hours. We do have a couple of after-school events. Just like this session, we have virtual workshops that are provided to students, but everything happens during school time, so school hours, and at the school site or virtually. So this is not a program where they have to come on the weekends. In the summer, we do have different programs that we offer for our students. They can sign up and see if they are chosen to participate in these programs. These are other commitments that they can choose to participate in being an ETS student. But just to note, I know there was a question in the chat, but just to note that this is a school-based program. There are no other requirements other than being a US citizen and being interested in post-secondary education and having a good GPA. As long as your student is interested, then they can join us. And then I will have one of the other coordinators walk through the actual application, but I did want to share the next slide really quickly before we go through the application. You can go ahead and follow us. So parents, students, whoever's on this call with us, you can follow us on ETS Trio CSULB for the Compton, LA, and Linwood schools. And then you can follow us at ETS CSULB SB for our South Bay schools. And this is on Instagram. We post a lot of our upcoming meetings, any virtual sessions that we have, or any events that are happening at the high schools. That's all posted on Instagram. And I'll have one of the other coordinators go ahead and walk through the application.
All right, thank you, Jasmine. Give me 1 second while I share my screen. Sorry about that. So if you go in the chat right now, you'll see the bit.ly link for us. It's bit.ly/ETS app 21. So this is where you'll be applying. You are able to fill out this application online virtually this year. So it's a super easy way to get your application in. Even if your advisor is not there yet at the school site, or if, for example, any of the students that are joining us from Maywood, the program is new to the school site, you guys can already submit an application. So then when we have an advisor there at your school site, we'll be able to get started right away. Or if once your application is processed, we can reach out to you and even provide services virtually for you, okay? So the application is going to ask for some basic information. So it's going to ask you to fill in your first and last name, any other nicknames that you might use. This is, again, just for our personal services. So for example, if your name is Andres and you want to go by Andy, you want that advisor to call you Andy, you can go ahead and put that information on there. It's not required. You want to make sure you're entering a non-school issued email on there, and then your phone number as well, okay? It's going to ask you some more basic information. So your street address, apartment number, all that basic information. You're going to go ahead and select your date of birth. Please make sure you're selecting the right year or typing it in manually. Then you're also going to enter your age. Gender, you can select male or female or decline to state. Any languages spoken at home. So at home, I speak Spanish and English. I can indicate that here. This is for the student. So if your parents are helping you fill this out or guardians helping you fill that out, make sure that this is the marital status of you, the student. And then again, we are restricted to working with only U.S. citizens or permanent residents. So you can go ahead and indicate that here, whichever one you fall under. Then you're going to select your school of attendance. So we are at 13 different high schools. So you can go ahead and select any of the schools that you're a part of or the schools that you attend, and then what grade level you're in. So if I am a junior, I am graduating class of 2023. I'm going to enter my school ID number. And then any siblings that I have attending my school. I don't have any siblings, so I'm going to put not interested. We're also going to ask for some basic information. So what colleges you're interested in attending. So let's say I want to go to USC, CSU Dominguez Hills, UCLA, and Pepperdine. And this is just some basic information that the advisors will use to provide some services for you. Doesn't have to be a commitment, right now. Some careers that you're interested in. So let's say I want to do math, engineering maybe, and maybe communications. So I'm just thinking about some stuff right now. How did you hear about ETS? So filling it out right now, you can do classroom presentation. If you were referred by a teacher or counselor, you can select any of the ones that are on here. If you have a friend that's currently in the program that referred you over to us, you can go ahead and select that. A lot of times we will provide that friend or participant a incentive for having you join our program once you submitted your application. Okay. One other important thing that this application is going to ask is what other programs you are currently a part of, okay? So ideally, you would not be a part of any other educational program. Then we'd be free and clear. There are other programs that we are not allowed to share students with. So please make sure you're answering this section as accurately as possible. The big no-nos are another talent search program. Because we are the same program, we cannot have money being shared between a single student. But there are other programs that we can work with. So if you are part of the CalSoap or Gear Up, we are okay at some schools to share students. So please make sure you're answering this correctly or to the best of your knowledge, okay? The next part is gonna ask for more student information. So student ethnicity, go ahead and select any ethnicity you identify with. Then it's gonna ask for parent or guardian information, okay? So you're gonna include any information for who the student or you, the student, lives with. So if you live with any of these, just go ahead and select that. I'm going to do mom and dad. Then it's going to ask for the highest education level completed by your father, if you selected father. And it's going to ask if your father has a 4-year bachelor's degree. So that's going to be either a yes or no. If this question does not apply to you, if you do not live with your father, you can put unknown or does not apply. And same thing here, unknown or does not apply, okay? Same thing for mom. What's her highest grade level completed? does she have a 4-year bachelor's degree? Again, if this situation is not your living situation, you can always select unknown, does not apply, unknown does not apply. But make sure that there is information for at least one parent or guardian, or you're selecting foster care, ward of the court, okay? Then you're certifying that this information is correct. So you're including your full name, the student, and then whoever your parent or guardian is, right? And then the relationship to the student who is including that information there. Next, the application is going to ask you about income. So again, this is asking about you, the student. Are you married? And that'll be no for most, if not all of you. It is also going to ask if your parents were deceased before the age of 18. Answer that question, yes or no. Does the student have any other dependents that they live with that you providing more than half of their income? Answer that yes or no. Are you a veteran of the armed forces? For that, mostly all of you, hopefully that'll be no as well. Then it's going to ask for family income information. So this is super important for you to fill out accurately. So it is helpful for you to do this with your parents or guardians. If you have some general idea of what that information is, then go ahead and fill it out. But again, it is more, a lot of times easier for you to fill it out with a parent or guardian. So do your parents or step parents file income taxes? That's a yes or no question. What is the filing status? And then it's going to ask for the 2020 total family yearly income. Okay, so this is going to be employment income, disability, unemployment, child support, social security, any public assistance amount on there. You want to make sure you go ahead and put in a number value. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say 25,000, no commas needed. And then on the tax form, it's going to, or on this application, it's also going to ask for taxable income. Okay, so these two numbers will typically be different. If you need some help on finding out what your family's taxable income is, you can find that on their IRS 1040 form, line 11B, if your parents file taxes. All right, I see we have a question. Let's see, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi, yeah, I had a question. I actually, I helped my son fill out the paperwork yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And for that one, the 1040 form on the 11B, I did not see anything that said 11B.
Okay, we'll go ahead and verify that. If you submit the application, we are going to be processing applications this week. So if needed, if we have any questions about the information provided on there, we'll reach out to you with the contact information listed on there. And so we can get some accurate information there. All right, thank you. So you will be indicating that taxable income. Again, most of the times your parents will know if there's a difference between the yearly income and taxable income. Some things, for example, that might not be taxable are child support or social security or some other public assistance might not count towards that taxable income for the year, okay? Then you're also going to indicate the total number of people in your household. So that is anyone that's living in your house that is being supported by your parent or guardian, okay? So if you have aunts and uncles or grandma and grandpa or siblings, anyone who is being supported by that same income amount is going to be included here, okay? Then your parent or guardian is going to certify that this information is correct. And again, their relationship to the student who is filling out the application. This next question is called our individual assessment plan. So this is going to help the advisors guide the services that you are going to be needing as an ETS student, right? So we talked about all the different services we offer today in our presentation, but we want to go ahead and have you take a look at these and click off which ones you might need help with, right? So let's say I want academic planning. I want to know what classes I should take and what I might need. I want some help on college entrance exams because I have no idea what's going on with the SAT and ACTs this year. Do I need to take them? Do I not? So I want some information on that. I'm also not doing great in math, so I want some tutoring help, right? So anything that you're interested in receiving, you can go ahead and select on here. Again, this is not every single service that we offer. It's just a sampling of the different services that we can provide to you as an ETS student. Let's say you choose tutoring because right now you're not doing well, but then you decide in 3 weeks that you got your grade up and you don't want to do tutoring anymore, we're not going to hold you to it. This is just for our initial purposes. How can we help you get started? Okay. Then down here, you're going to indicate what your plans are after graduating from high school, right? You are able to select any of the options on here. So let's say you're not unsure about what you want to do, but you might want to attend a 4-year school, maybe a 2-year school, and maybe you're thinking about joining the military, right? Any of those options that apply to you, you can select on there. Again, this is for us to guide what services we can share with you, okay? And then this is going to be you, the student, certifying that you are providing accurate information on here. All right, and then the last form on this application is a student agreement. So here is basically your commitment to being an active ETS student, to responding to our remind messages, and to making sure that you are going to be as involved as possible, again, within reason. We understand that things happen, school is number one priority. We want to make sure that you're staying in constant communication with your ETS advisor, or taking advantage of the services that we're offering. A lot of times at our school sites, we do reach capacity for students that we can admit. So we want to make sure that the students that are in our program are taking advantage of those services, and if not, so we can offer that space to other students. And then the very, very last part is an audiovisual release. So you saw we had a few pictures in today's presentation from our students. This is just whether or not you're consenting for us to take pictures or recordings of you when we are in person. During college application season, for example, if any of you are seniors, we will sometimes post pictures with student permission on our social media pages, letting all our followers know where they're applying, where they got accepted, where they're committing to in the spring semester. So again, this is a yes or no question, has no impact on your application, and this will be the parent or guardian that needs to certify this. Okay. And that is it. You will submit your application. It'll come over to our servers and we will process it. Usually we are pretty quick on processing applications. The longest wait time I would say is probably about a week. If you have not heard from us a week after you submitted your application, you can go ahead and follow up with us, but you will most likely receive word from someone within a week.
And I did just want to add, for the parent that was asking the question about where to find taxable income, I did just look it up. We do need to update the application. So line 11 would be your adjusted gross income, and then line 15 notes your taxable income. So if you're looking at your 2020 1040 form, you're going to look at line 11 for adjusted gross income and line 15 for your taxable income. So we'll make those changes on this application, but if you've already submitted, don't worry. We'll be able to reach out to you if we need that information. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
And it looks like someone else asked about the website not popping up. Please make sure that you're entering it case specific. So all lowercase, bit.ly/ETS app 21. And yes, about middle school students, once they reach 9th grade, and we will be able to work with them. Our program focuses only on the 9th through 12th grade students, or primarily then, so she can join as a 9th grade student. Do we have any other questions? All right, so it looks like we are set to wrap up. Please don't forget to follow us on social media and submit applications